this terrible turn of events where we have deputies saying that 3 unknown people entered the home and shot Johnson. And then there's this surveillance video, that shows 3 men, what appears to be a Ring doorbell sort of camera, a video from the front entryway of the home, or what appears to be the front entryway of the home, 3 men carrying out the body, according to the Polk County Sheriff's Office, of Xavier Antonio Johnson, 29 years old. You can see that this video was so graphic that they had to blur it out. Here's Sheriff Grady, Judd.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being with me on this Monday so that we can update you concerning a horrible event, a murder that occurred up in the northeast area of the county. It's the Davenport area. And let me tell you just an overview of what occurred. On April the 8th, one of our suspects rented an Airbnb on Acorn Drive in the Solitaire subdivision in order to sell trafficking amounts of marijuana, cannabis. You know, that low-level, nonviolent drug everybody talks about? That's right. So for the next few days, they're selling trafficking amounts of marijuana. Then a horrible thing happens about 8:30 at night on April the 13th. There are people coming and going from this Airbnb and buying marijuana, and 2 suspects come into the Airbnb about 8:30 at night. 5 minutes later, they're leaving in a hurry. One of them's clearly carrying a gun. The other is carrying something else in his hands. We showed you a video of 3 people carrying what is our deceased victim out of the door. The deceased victim's parents gave us permission to release his name. It's Xavier Johnson. He's only 29 years of age. That's right. He was there and part of the operation of selling marijuana, and he was killed. He was brutally murdered. He was shot. But he wasn't dead at the scene. So the 3 people who we needed to identify took him out of the house and dropped him off at the Heart of Florida Haines City Hospital. And then they fled. So we needed to know who they were. We needed to know who the other 2 who fled were. So when we start this investigation, we have a person that's in exceptionally critical condition and ends up dying from a gunshot wound, but we don't even know where the murder took place. The Haines City Police are there with us, and we can't determine where it is. We thought, well, heck, there's a greater probability that it's in the county, and even if it's in the city, it's still in the county. So we began the investigation. As we're working our way through the investigation, we receive information that our critically injured person has died. But guess how we found the crime scene? The owner of the Airbnb looked on the security cameras and saw this traffic in and out of her house, saw this apparently deceased or very seriously injured person being carried out, and she called us. And that's how we found the crime scene, because the owner of the house in another state looked at the security camera. Our detectives started to work, and they worked throughout Easter weekend. You know, over Easter weekend, the Easter Bunny brings presents. Well, we got a present for Justin Jenkins. We arrested him for murder. That's right, this is what a murderer looks like. Justin Jenkins is 29 years of age. He was also with another person. We need our homicide sleuths, our social media sleuths, to help us identify who was with Justin. We're going to release another clip, another video clip. Find out who this person is. Be the one who calls us, gives us a positive ID, and you can get $5,000. Because you see, we want Justin to have company in the county jail. Kind of like Easter eggs in a basket. We got one egg in the basket. We need more eggs in the basket. There's lots of work to do. So Justin, what do we know about him? 35 previous felony charges, 20 previous misdemeanor charges, a total of 55 previous criminal charges, and at least 3 trips to state prison. Justin Jenkins is a bad man. He's a murderer, but he's not alone. We'll let you decide after looking at the video. It appears to be his partner is a Hispanic male. But you make the determination when you call us and say, hey, here's his running buddy. Here's who's with him. Jenkins was located at 2440 South Palmetto in South Daytona Beach in Volusia County. He's from Eustis, Florida. When our detectives called Eustis over the weekend, the holiday weekend, they got a hold of a corporal. The corporal said, oh, we all know the Jenkins. Yeah, we know him real well. He's a bad man. He's a murdering man. So help us finish solving this crime. The investigation is still well underway. We're not going to release any other details of the crime or what we know, and we know more than we're saying today. But what we don't know is who Jenkins' associate was that night. We have the other 3 identified. They're under investigation. The people who rented the house, they're under investigation. This case is far from over. But what we need is his partner that helped murder someone. That's right. Justin Jenkins and his partner came all the way from South Daytona to Davenport, Florida, to, as they say, hit a lick, to rob at gunpoint a dope dealer, a marijuana dealer, and in the process murdered the guy.
So Mr. Jenkins and the other person you're looking for, they are in a different video than the one with the body being carried out? Those are 3 different guys?
That's correct.
And the body being carried out, there was a guy on our Facebook page saying that those guys carried the body out. They're not suspects in this, are they?
Oh, yeah, they are.
So the guy on our video, was it Tyrone or something like that, Chris Customs, says that they were victims and that this was his best friend, and they brought the body to the hospital and they were just renting the Airbnb. Is that?
Yeah, tell Tyrone his buddies are in trouble. We're letting nobody out of the box. Or, since it's over Easter weekend, we're letting nobody out of the basket. Okay? Everybody's in the basket. We know he shot. We know he brought a partner with him. But others involved in the sale of the cannabis, the renting of the houses, all the other partners involved there, they're all involved too. And by virtue of someone being murdered during the process of committing a felony, they are subject to felony murder charges as well.
Everyone involved.
Everybody that's involved in the Easter basket.
So the owner of the home is the only innocent person here.
The owner of the home is certainly innocent. That person is well out of state. AirBnb rented the home. They were selling trafficking amounts of marijuana beginning April 8th. But be sure one thing, the Easter Bunny's still at work. We're going to get the rest of the participants, okay? But we need your help. We've got super sleuths out here. We had our, what I call citizen, community, homicide, social media detectives, help us identify the three. Help us identify where we are now in the investigation. We appreciate your help. Way to go. Now we got one more to identify.
You said Mr. Jenkins came from where to commit this crime?
He is originally from Eustis, Florida. He lives in South Daytona Beach. That's the town, about 5 square mile town. He lived on Palmetto Avenue.
And he was arrested in that area as well?
Yes, and Volusia County helped us, and we served a search warrant with a SWAT team in order to search the residence and take him into custody.
And the victim was renting that property. Was he one of the renters, the victim?
Which victim?
Xavier Johnson?
That part of the investigation is still underway. He himself did not rent that property, but he was a part of it. The victim was also there, profiting from or being a part of, and it cost him his life. It shouldn't have cost him his life. So that's why when you see me up here extremely animated about people trying to tell you that drugs and marijuana is a low-level, nonviolent crime, will just gag me with a pitchfork. That is baloney. Because here is an example where our victim, yeah, he was wrapped up in that, but he shouldn't have been murdered. He shouldn't have been killed. But they went there, they didn't care. They went there to hit a lick. They went there to murder people, if that's what it took, to rob at gunpoint. And for whatever reason, that's exactly what they did. And they didn't care. He didn't care that he killed our victim.
How many people total were staying in the house?
Well, there's several. And we don't know that we've got all of the total. We know that at that moment in time, that snapshot, there was as many as 5 to 7 to 8 people that were in and out. We're still sorting through the details. And once again, there's criminal liability and culpability if you're actively involved in committing a felony crime and someone gets killed, and that's what happened.
On the video that were carrying the body out, those people could
We are still investigating that. They are suspects.
Yeah, people are asking in our comment section right now on the stream the connection between Jenkins and those 3 men in the video.
Jenkins and the person he came with, you'll see that video, okay? They came and left together. We are still working on the investigation, so we can't say there's not a connection to the other 3. We just haven't established that at this point in the investigation.
So Jenkins was the gunman, I assume, and what did the other guy do?
Jenkins might have been the gunman, or the other guy might have been the gunman. They both had guns. That's why we have to get the other guy into custody.
And just to be clear, there's a $5,000 reward for the other guy, but what about for the 3 carrying the body out?
Well, we don't know yet because we've got to unravel that part of the investigation.
And you've talked to those 3 have been talked to, right? The one guy that's on our Facebook page says he was released and he was fine. He's saying our articles go on Chris Customs or whatever. He's like, I'm fine. If I was a suspect, I would still be in jail or whatever. But you know where those guys are.
He doesn't know what he doesn't know.
Is there a video of the entire incident?
There's videos as they came and went.
But nothing of the incident inside the home?
No, not that we're aware of.
How many times was he shot?
We're not releasing that. But here's the interesting thing. There's some rotten eggs we still have to get. Okay? Help us out. And there may be more that we don't know. But what we do know is that we've got one of the two principals, and we're looking for the other principal. And the others are just apparently collateral images or collateral suspects in the other piece of this investigation that's ongoing right now.
So does that mean they were either there because of buying, selling, or partying?
Don't know yet. It's under investigation. But if the right people call and the right people talk and the right people tell us, then that'll help us sort it out.
But as the sheriff's office, we say in our report that those other guys are also suspects in some form. That's accurate.
At this time.
If we're streaming right now, are we able to see the video?
Sure. Are y'all ready to turn it on? Okay, I thought they were going to give it to you after it was over with. All right, let's look at it. Whoop, he steps back. It's the second too. Right. The second one with the mask on is who we have not identified yet.
Who's the first person?
Whoops, see him come out with a gun. So the suspect who went in with a face mask and came out with a gun in his right hand is the one that's not identified. We can show that again, okay?
But, Sheriff, who's the first guy?
He is involved in the investigation.
He's in the first video you
We're not okay, that's the guy we want right there. And about 5 minutes later is when they came back out. There he is. See, he's putting something up. The other one's got his. All right, Super Sleuths, you've seen it. Now tell us who it is, and we'll be one step closer to wrapping up this investigation. This one is very interesting. Any other questions? Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd releasing new details, and as you just saw there, some new video in the Davenport Airbnb murder of 29-year-old Antonio Johnson. JB here with you folks on WFLA Now. Let's cue up that new video and show this here to you again. So there we have the three individuals walking in. I think that Grady said it was around 8:30 at night. And then about 5 minutes later, this Ring doorbell camera, which again, this Ring doorbell camera providing key visual evidence in this case. And then you have two individuals walking out carrying a bag and brandishing a firearm there as well as they make their exit. So again, we have an arrest in this case, a man by the name of Justin Jenkins arrested out of South Daytona, and a lot of moving parts to this case out of Polk County. Again, northeast Polk County, actually, not too far away from Orlando, is where this occurred. And let's go back to the video that we began with. Now, this is later on. Three men who are walking in or walked into the house and then walking out of the house. They have a body here. Of course, blurring has to go on here because of the graphic nature of the video. And this is the 29-year-old from St. Petersburg, Florida, the man that we've been talking about here. And let's throw up his images again. This is courtesy of Lynn Johnson, who sent our Stacy DeSilva, who was asking questions there at that press conference, one of our 8 on Your Side reporters here at WFLA, covering Polk County. Lynn Johnson sending Stacy DeSilva these pictures of Xavier Antonio Johnson, 29 years old. So let's kind of go through this again one more time, talk about what we do know and what we don't know, but we're going to kind of first go chronologically through what we do know. And actually it starts with not that video, but it does start with this moment in time right here. Around 8:30 that night, the night of the murder here in Davenport, Florida, these men enter the home. 3 are seen going in, 2 are seen leaving, and when they do leave, you have items being carried, and I want to see that again because they're not carrying a bag on the way in. Nope, they're not carrying a bag on the way in. All 3 of them walking in. And then Grady Judd saying it's about 5 minutes later, which is when the murder is believed to have occurred. And then we have the men walking out here as well. But we only have 2 men walking out here as well. The video then, we get the video, of course, then later, which is the same Ring doorbell shot, but now it shows a body being taken out. 3 men carrying a body, and Justin Jenkins is the man who's been arrested out of South Daytona. I'm going through my notes here, and I'm also reading your comments, so I'm just reading through a lot here, folks. Justin Jenkins, who, according to Grady Judd, is a bad guy, 35 previous arrests, and anybody connected to this case now, anybody connected to the murder of Xavier Johnson is going to be charged with felony murder, could be potentially charged with felony murder. So the Airbnb was rented out. This is a doorbell camera or a front door camera from an Airbnb, and the owner of this property is out of state, as Grady Judd said in the press conference. And it was on April 8th that the home was rented out by renters, and it's not exactly clear if who that person is that rented out this property. It doesn't sound as if it's Xavier Johnson, but somebody rents out this property, and soon thereafter, it is used as a location to sell marijuana out of this house, according to Grady Judd. And then, of course, we have this terrible incident where the individual is going to the home, Johnson is shot and killed, and then the body is carried out soon thereafter, as it's all seen here from this camera. You have to wonder, too, and I'm thinking about this as I see this video replay over and over again. Did they not see the video surveillance? Did they not see the camera? The camera's right there at the front of the home. And I'm very curious as to where this camera is, because usually cameras are relatively obvious. When you walk through somebody's home, if there's a Ring doorbell camera, you can usually spot it. If there's a camera off to the side, you can usually spot it. Was this camera concealed at all? Did they know that this camera was there? They don't ever appear to look at it. Actually, in this video, they kind of do, I thought. Look again. Are they looking at the camera at all? No, I don't think that they see it. There's the one moment where the first individual walks in and he looks like he's looking in that direction, but I don't think he's making eye contact with the camera. There you can see 2 men walking out. 3 enter, 2 walk out. But right here, you see he kind of looks in that direction, but I don't know if he's necessarily looking directly at the camera. It's hard to tell. But this is, again, key video evidence in this case. So let's start to take some questions, any comments that we have. But here's a big thing that's very, very interesting about this case is that Grady went up there. He stated what he does know about this particular investigation and how it's kind of unfolded over the last 48 hours into, of course, we just had the Easter weekend, and he said that his deputies with the Polk County Sheriff's Office were working through the Easter weekend to try to get an arrest in this case, and they do have an arrest. They also had help from the Volusia County Sheriff's Office and a SWAT team going in, executing a search warrant of the Jenkins home. That, too, part of the arrest of the man out of South Daytona. However, there's still a lot more that we don't know about this case, and there's a lot of moving parts because you have, again, these moments in time. You have the moments in time where the 3 men around 8:30 at night, the 3 men walking in, 2 men walking out, and then additionally, you then have the video from later on where you have 3 men walking out with the body of Xavier Johnson. So a lot of moving parts here, and I'm sure that the investigation is trying to determine exactly who is responsible for what, because we have the individual who, or individuals who shot Johnson and killed him, and then you have the individuals who are carrying out the body here. Interestingly enough, they also said too, and I'm going to start to take some comments here in just a second, they also said that Xavier Johnson was dropped off at a hospital. And it was a quick drop-off, making a quick getaway where those who were dropping Xavier Johnson off, I heard one of the reporters, it might have been Stacy, asking how many times Xavier Johnson was shot, but he was dropped off at the hospital, and it was at the hospital that he was pronounced dead of course, he's going to be pronounced dead at the hospital. He's not going to be pronounced dead sooner than that because he wasn't taken by ambulance crew to the hospital. However, that was where, you know, if he was taken to the hospital, he very well might have been alive as he was being taken to the hospital. And then I think it was Grady who, I forget his exact words, but he said that he then died soon thereafter after being dropped off at the hospital. So another component to this story as well. I can't display comments, but I can read them. Our comment system is down today, but I'm going to try to read as many as I can. Rose on Facebook, #HeyJB. The first guy walking in is also one of the guys helping with the body. Did they play the first guy walking in and he didn't know? So I can't say for certain, and I don't think that we have it with 100% certainty that any of the individuals in these two moments in time match up. It's up to you at home to determine. We'll play this back here again. Are there matching individuals, matching identities in these two videos with these two separate moments in time? Let's go back to the first moment, okay? And this video is going to cycle back. Again, 3 people walking in around 8:30 at night. 1, 2, 3. The one in the back there wearing a mask and a forward-facing hat. It's a video in black and white, so without color, it's hard to match clothing and match descriptions. And then you have 1, 2, there's the forward-facing hat. So it would appear that the second and third guy here walking into the home, correct? And then walking out. This is, again, 5 minutes later. They kind of sped this up 5 minutes. It looks like the second and third. Can't say with certainty, but that's what it appears to be. And then later on, these are the 3 men. Then now you have 2 individuals there wearing glasses, a third who's not wearing glasses. There's certainly similarities, but we can't sit here and say with certainty that they are in fact the same people in these 2 moments in time. But they do look. There is similarities there with their faces as they walk in and walk out in these 2 moments in time. Yep. Let's go over to YouTube and say hi to our folks on YouTube. And again, you can use #HeyJB if you'd like to have your comment sort of featured here or shouted out. I'll stay live for another just a couple of minutes as we kind of go through what we do and don't know about this story. We don't know how many people are directly responsible for the murder of Xavier Johnson. We don't know how many people went in there. We don't know if they went in there and it was whether it was premeditated. We don't know whether at this time what the intention was. Now, Grady Judd saying that there was intention to drive down there, and I believe that there was intention to rob, according to Grady Judd. However, we don't know what happens inside of the home. We have this Airbnb shot that's outside of the front doorway, but we don't have, obviously, video from inside the house. We don't know exactly what happened inside the home. Yeah, your boy D on YouTube asking #HeyJB, how many shots fired? We don't know that as well. You know what's interesting too? You know, I don't know if there's, and this is, there's only certain information that they can release publicly, because that information that, you know, such as how many shots were fired, might be information only known to key individuals that are associated with this crime. So they're not going to release that information unless they're not going to release that information at this stage of where they are in the investigation. But here's what I'm thinking, and here's where my mind is at, is if gunshots are loud, and if this doorbell camera or if this front surveillance camera does have audio, could there have been a lot of these Ring doorbells and home surveillance systems now are all app connected, and you can scroll back to a moment in time and you can download footage. Was there a moment in time where, you know, multiple gunshots were heard? Do they have a timestamp with the audio from this front doorway camera? Does that factor in, or is it just video, and is it just black and white, video as well? Also, too, this black and white video is very likely black and white just due to the fact that it is nighttime. Sunset now is roughly it's about 7 o'clock here with where we are right now in Florida. So if sunset's about 7 o'clock, it's very much dark at 8 o'clock at night, and that's why we're seeing the video quality the way that it is, or likely why the way that it is. Yeah, Mike ZO on YouTube saying #AJB. Interesting that they supposedly brought the victim to the hospital. Why would they do that? Again, what was the intention? What was the intention, or did something terribly go wrong inside the home where things got dramatically and suddenly violent? And if there was a gunshot, was there an attempt to save his life? These are now questions that only those who are involved can really answer. Pooh Shiesty, #HAB. Yeah, gotta love the YouTube usernames. How do you know that they were selling cannabis? That was in the original release that came out that we had on WFLA.com. It came out from the Polk County Sheriff's Office, and it was, again, reiterated by Sheriff Grady Judd that they were selling marijuana out of the home of this Airbnb. This Airbnb rental was it was rented out, and then, of course, they had cannabis being sold out of that location in Davenport, Florida. Which Davenport, Florida, folks, is suburban, but it's relatively rural. It's not exactly all that. It's kind of in the middle ground between Lakeland and Orlando. It's really not that far away from Disney World. I mean, we're talking maybe, I would say 20 minutes from Disney. And now I'm going to kind of do some real-time fact checking to see exactly how far this, I'm just giving everybody kind of a point of reference here as to where this is located. Davenport, directions, Google Maps, Disney. Maybe it's more than 20 minutes. Yeah, it's about 30 minutes, half an hour. So roughly half an hour from Davenport, Florida to Disney. It's south of Disney World, but not too far away from Orlando. It's actually closer to Orlando than it is to Tampa. One or two more comments. Yeah, Justin M. I think about this all the time. Justin M on YouTube, #HJB. I love how Ring doorbells and home security cameras have really changed murder investigations for the good in the most part. Yeah, if this doorbell camera isn't here, where are we right now in this investigation? Doorbell cameras, home surveillance systems, all of them being app connected. So many of them, just about all of them now, will send a push alert to your phone when there's motion detected. So that if even the mailman's coming up, or if your Amazon delivery driver is pulling up to the house and dropping off a package, you swipe, open up your home surveillance system, and there you see it happening in real time. Conversely, if it's on a late at night, in the middle of the night, and something is happening, maybe you're on vacation out of state, and you see maybe 2 in the morning or something that it isn't right, somebody's in front of your home, swipe to open. If you see something that isn't right, you can call the authorities immediately. Home surveillance systems and cloud connected home surveillance systems have completely changed home security, and they are now key parts, and can be key parts of investigations, all different kinds of investigations, not just murder investigations. Avisu, #AJB on YouTube, is there footage of the victim arriving? I'm sure that there is. However, it has not been publicly released by the Polk County Sheriff's Office. It's not pertinent to the investigation from a public release standpoint. So I'm sure all entries and exits, and two, if this was, it's interesting too, if this was being used as a point to sell drugs, and it was going back to as far back as April 8th, if people are coming and going from the house, now I'm not saying I'm not saying that people were coming and going from the house, but if they were coming and going from the house, then anybody that you have purchasing drugs from this Airbnb in Davenport, Florida, all of a sudden you have video evidence of every buyer going and coming from the house. It's now, are they going to, go after somebody who's, coming by the house to, buy $50 in marijuana? That's something only the Polk County Sheriff's Office can answer. But with, there being an active murder investigation underway, this is extremely helpful to the Polk County Sheriff's Office. I'm not seeing too many other comments. Yeah, Dr. Ed Moskowitz on YouTube. Hello there, Dr. Moskowitz. Hashtag HJB. I'm glad the owner of the Airbnb called Grady. She lived far away. Thanks to her, she was monitoring from very, very far away. Yeah, Airbnb owners are known to be, for the most part, very responsible as far as home surveillance and keeping an eye on their property and making sure that it's taken care of. Airbnb, especially in Florida, can be a massive, massive source of revenue for you. Rentals right now and Airbnbs and Verbos. All of these rental properties and timeshares are extremely profitable for all the people that are trying to get down here to the state of Florida. So people do want to protect their investment. They want to protect their investment, and they do so with home security systems like this one. Again, maybe I'll end out on this. I'm in a little bit of disbelief that there was all of this in and out from the house. I'm not somebody who is going to be seen in a situation like this. But I would imagine that if you are, I would just imagine if you're carrying the body of somebody in this case, and again, remember now, Xavier Johnson here, they were dropping him off at the hospital, according to Grady Judd, soon after this point in time. So they're carrying Xavier Johnson out here. If you are carrying somebody who has been shot out of a home, I can only speak for myself, but I would imagine that I would be unbelievably highly paranoid to anybody seeing me. What if someone's out there walking the dog? That might be a reason why they stop here. I think that they're stopping at this point in the house. This also could be a side entryway. There might not be sidewalk access or front yard access right here. We don't see, I think we see a little sliver of what's off to the right. But again, going back to this, I think most people would be highly paranoid for this moment in time. You're carrying somebody who has been shot and potentially shot to death, and you're not looking around for, it's an Airbnb. I think most people would put two and two together and think, man, I should probably make sure that there's no cameras around. They go right by the cameras with a body. Now, that's why I keep going back. Is there any way whatsoever that this camera is concealed, that it's not obvious? Most home security system cameras are very much out there and obvious, and you can see them. They're Ring doorbells. Sometimes you can see very commonly with these devices, you can see the emblem, the logo of the manufacturer, like Ring, on the device. You know that there's a camera in there. It's pretty surprising that they would just go right by this door and not spot the camera. Sometimes, a camera can be in an inauspicious kind of location where it's not really, super obvious. But anyway, folks, the latest on this story on WFLA.com, the WFLA app. You can read more. Our reporter, Stacy DeSilva, who was there asking questions to Grady at the press conference. She's working on this story today. We hope to have more information for you by news time tonight. It begins at 4 o'clock with our first newscast this evening on WFLA News Channel 8. We have the 4, 5, 6, 7 o'clock news on WFLA News Channel 8. And then all of our reporting from all of our incredible reporters. It's on WFLA.com, the WFLA app. You can click on the link in the description on this video. It'll take you to the story that we have that's currently being updated with the new information as released by Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd. Again, it's all there for you on WFLA.com, the WFLA app. Hey folks, JB here with you again live on WFLA Now. Real quick, just want to let you know that we're also following breaking news happening right now in the Tampa Bay area. The scene of a deputy-involved shooting in Brandon, Florida. A deputy not injured but involved in the shooting. The suspect transported to a local hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. And staff and children at a nearby elementary school and daycare center not said to be involved, but Eagle 8 HD heading to the scene. We might have another stream right on the back end of this one. The latest on WFLA.com, the WFLA app. Thanks so much for joining us.